Hey guys, how is everyone doing? This is Megan Renee, and each week I am coming to you with some self care ideas and things that will make your life just a little bit easier. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe below and push the bell so you'll get notifications when I come on every Thursday, dishing you up with some goodness. So, today we're going to talk about 4 ways to set boundaries. And before we begin, I want to share a little bit of my story with you. Okay. So, last year, I was extremely busy. I was working for corporate America. So, we know how that goes, right? 40-hour work weeks. By the time you get home, you're tired. You really don't feel like doing anything for yourself. I was on the board of my sorority. I was active in my church, which was actually far away, so I was driving a ways to even get there. I had just started a new relationship, which I'm still in and very in love. But relationships take work, right? And I was also trying to have my own private practice, which I still have as well. But again, that takes a lot of work. So notice that my private practice is at the end of that list, right? That's because that's how it felt. Oh, I forgot to mention that I was also a part of a nonprofit organization that I was, deeply volunteering in on a regular basis. So I'm sure I'm forgetting some things that I was working on, but let's just say I was doing a lot. And because of that, I had to take a step back and really come to terms with myself that I was not saying no to people. I was saying yes, and I realized that I was training people to ask me, and I was training people that I would say yes to everything. And so I wasn't respecting my boundaries and I wasn't respecting theirs. So, boundaries is when you it's a way to keep yourself emotionally safe. Yes, it's a way to also keep yourself physically safe if we're talking about physical things. In my case, though, it was an emotional safety. So kind of think of it like a fence. A fence is what keeps your house safe. Okay. That is what a boundary is. People describe it as like your bubble, your personal bubble. That's what it is. But we teach people how to treat us. And so I had to realize that I need to start setting boundaries. And so what I did is I made this, it wasn't a grand announcement, but I did talk to specific people and I told them last year, listen, when 2018 rolls around, things are going to change. I'm going to take a step back and I'm only going to focus on things that will help me and my brand grow. I'm going to focus on my family and I'm just going to do things that I enjoy and that I love. And because of that, because I've been so intentional about the things that I want to do and that's going to help me grow as a person and as a business owner, I have been less stressed this year and I've enjoyed my time. And now it's already getting ready to be 2019. And I can honestly say that I have been less stressed this year than I have in my whole entire life. So, boundaries work, they're powerful. Okay. So, we're going to talk about 4 ways to set boundaries. I want to say, first off, that being busy has become this badge of honor. Okay. If we're not busy, if we're not running around like chickens with our heads cut off, that's a horrible saying. But anyway, if we're not running around and constantly being busy, then we think that we're not being productive. We think that we're failing. And so we have to shift our mindset out of this where if I'm not running around and I'm constantly, up doing something or I'm jumping from one activity to the next, then that means that I'm not being a good mother, I'm not being a good friend, I'm not being a good entrepreneur, I'm not being productive because that's just not true. Part of self care is setting time aside to just sit, veg out, watch TV, listen to music, sleep. Those are the things that we really need to be focusing on. So it's about a mind shift because otherwise we'll start to feel guilty and feel like we're not doing our best. Okay? Okay. So let's talk about first the 3 reasons that people have trouble saying no. For one, it's because people are afraid that if I say no, then someone's not going to be able to depend on me anymore. People are so used to you saying yes, and they come to you because they know that you're dependable and that they can rely on you. You're their go to person. Okay. Again, we've taught them to think that about us by saying yes every single time. And so that's the first reason, is that we feel like, well, if we say no, maybe they won't come to me anymore, or maybe they'll look at me a certain way and they'll think, well, she's not dependable anymore, which is just not true. Okay. You saying no to a couple things is not going to completely mess up how someone sees you. Okay. And if it does, then that's their stuff. And you're not responsible for how they feel about that because you said no to something. Okay. Another thing is we're afraid to burn bridges or relationships. Maybe we feel like if I say no to this girls' trip, then they're not going to invite me to anything else. Again, probably not true. That's what happens when we assume things, right? We're afraid to even try something because we're already assuming it's going to turn out bad. But how do you know that to be true? You don't. The answer is you don't know that for sure. Okay. You'll just have to try and get out of your comfort zone. So maybe, if you say no to 4 and 5 trips, or 4 and 5 events, maybe eventually they'll stop asking for you to go to things. But after one, probably not. Okay. So finally, to the 4 reasons or 4 ways to set boundaries. Okay. And gain respect at the same time. That's the point of this. All right. So the first one is to take it slow. Take it one step at a time. This is not easy, especially if you're used to being a people pleaser and you're used to saying yes to everything and you're used to feeling busy all the time. I've seen it before where people complain about being busy and having too much on their plate, and then when some things are taken off their plate, they feel awkward. They don't know what to do with the time. That's because you're not used to it. So then you end up getting in the same routine again of becoming busy and becoming overwhelmed again. So you need to sit in that uncomfortable feeling for a little bit, okay? It's hard, I know. It's kind of like if you get past that threshold, then it will feel much better after you get over that hump. But you do need to sit in that, all right? So that's the first one. Number one is take it slow. Know that this is a process, it's a journey, and it's not going to be easy right away. The second one is to work on your self-esteem. This is much easier said than done. The topic of self-esteem, and we've talked about that, I've talked about it before, is very broad. Okay. It can feel overwhelming when we say it. There's so many different aspects to self-esteem. So, one of the main things to self-esteem is you really need to be aware of how it affects your daily life, because it does. Okay. It affects how you interact with people, how you maintain relationships, um, how you show up in the world. Okay. This is another one where, because it is such an overwhelming and broad topic, you got to chop it down. You got to do it in small pieces. So, affirmations, which I've talked about before, is a way to kind of start the process of self esteem. It's an easy way. And we're going to talk about that in the next video. I'm going to give you 10 affirmations that you can start using today that can begin the process of self esteem. The third way is to be prepared for some pushback. So, what I mean by that is when people are not used to you setting boundaries, they may react in a way that they seem offended, or they may even try to flip it on you and say, you're changing, or you think you're better than us now, or something's wrong with you. See how they can flip it like that? And then you end up questioning yourself again, and then you get back into this pattern. Okay, that's how that happens. So you really have to stay firm in your decision to say no. Your actions need to be consistent with your words. If you say no, I'm not going to do something, but then you go and do it anyways, that's teaching people to not trust you and trust what you say. And it's also showing them that you really don't respect yourself. Okay. So be prepared for some pushback. Before you begin this journey of setting boundaries and practicing, you need to already have in your mind that there's a strong possibility that those around you will not like it at first. That's okay. We're expecting that, right? So if you're prepared for that already, when it comes, you'll know how to handle it, be consistent, and eventually they will get used to it and they will get over it. Okay. The last way to set a boundary is to know that it can either be a full sentence. That's my dog, Kingston, by the way. He's saying hi. So know that no can be a full sentence or it can be a gracious no. What I mean by that is you don't feel the need to have to over explain yourself. I can't go out tonight because I have homework that's due and then I have to go to the grocery store and meal prep. Okay, they don't need to know all of those things. And I know we feel obligated to explain ourselves, but we don't need to. We don't owe an explanation to anybody, okay? So this is not easy. No being a full sentence can be hard because people will just be sitting there looking at you like waiting for you to say something else. No, I'm not able to go tonight. If there's silence, sit in that silence. That's okay. A gracious no looks like no, however. So you give them a no, however, you also give them another alternative. I'm not able to go out to dinner tonight. However, I would love to go out Saturday of next week instead. Okay, so you're giving them another option. If they can't do it, then we'll reschedule and we'll do it another time. But that's a way to graciously say no. If you're a business owner, and someone's asking you to be a part of a speaking engagement or be a keynote speaker somewhere, maybe that's not a place you'd like to do a speaking engagement at. Maybe it doesn't align with your business or your beliefs or what your brand talks about. You can say at this time, I'm looking at other options, or my focus is on this, and so I will have to decline. However, please notify me if future opportunities come about. Okay. So it's kind of a way to, it's a gracious way of saying it, especially for those of us that feel like we really need to explain ourselves. So we're not just saying no when we don't feel like we're being rude. We're giving them something else to think about. What I want to leave you with today is when you set boundaries, you are teaching people to respect yourself, to respect your time, and you're showing them that you respect their time as well. To me, time is so precious. I do not take it for granted. I know that we only have a certain amount of time during our day. I know that tomorrow is not promised. And so I take my time very serious. And so the things that I do, I'm intentional about those. And I want my time to be well spent. Okay. So if you don't take anything from today's video, I want you to take away how we teach people how to treat us. So if you're becoming angry or frustrated with people asking you over and over again to do something, I want you to take a step back and check yourself and think about if you have taught them to continue to ask you, if you have taught them to treat you that way. Okay. And then think about what you're going to do and then start practicing these boundaries. I have a blog post that I have written. So for those of you that want to go back and reread the different steps I've talked about today, I'm going to put that in the notes below. And so you can read that along with all the other goodies I have in store for you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next time.